Hey everybody, G-Bear, Homesteading the Desert on the second day of May. And what you're looking at in here is the shelf that I told you fell down inside the container. This is container one. And yeah, that was a shelf that I had put in a long time ago. And I just had two little metal brackets on it. Well, I overloaded it. There's a battery in there. There's a transformer over there. There was a lot of extra weight on there, and it started sagging down, but I also tied a rope around it. That's that rope you see right there. And I was holding up some pipes and gutter, and I kept stacking more stuff on there, and that was being held by the shelf too. Well, I backed my ATV in here and had a bucket full of tools, and as I said, the bucket weighted down and creeped down, and it caught right on the edge of this rope here, and that was enough to pull the shelf down. Well, I added a second shelf to take some of the weight off the first shelf, and I lightened the load up there. And I'm going to be doing a lot more lightening in here because inside of here you can see I've got gardening stuff, and gardening stuff is not going to be in here. That's going into the garden shed. And this is going to be my tool bin workshop. And I'm going to put a big workbench in here, the one that I brought up, and I can set my tools on top of that, and then those shelving will come out of here because there's just a mixture of junk on there that doesn't have to be there. All that paint's coming out of here and so forth and so on. And that's down the line. Not critical right now. I've got to get my garden house and my chicken coop built. But I had to get this straightened out so I couldn't even get the ATV out because all this stuff that was up here all fell on top of it. So I've got that squared away now, and a little at a time. I've already closed the other one because I started working on the flagpole. I got it off the trailer here. And then over there in the distance, there was lightning strikes and dark black sky. And I said, well, I'm not going to hold a 21-foot metal pole in my hands and put it up in the sky with lightning in the area. So I decided to postpone that until the weather passes. And it is supposed to pass. As you can see, there's nothing there, just some puffy clouds overhead. But over there, it is definitely raining. They're getting a lot of rain down that direction. And I think that's in the Barstow area. I just saw the news on TV. And they were talking about lightning strikes and possible flash flooding. And in the Cajon Pass, too, it's supposed to be getting some moderate rain. But no flooding at this point. My ATV's out. I'm going to have to take the stuff out of the bucket and get that ready to work tomorrow because today was the day that the street scrapers came down the access road over there, and every time they do that, they leave a berm of dirt right in front of my access road, and since that's a private road, they won't clean it up. I've got to do that myself. So I'll bring my ATV down there tomorrow and scrape that. Here's my flagpole laying here. While I was working on it, I banged it and I broke the gold ball, or as it's known, the truck. And that's the only truck you'll ever find on a military base. All those things with wheels are vehicles. But that's a truck, and what's supposed to be inside of the truck is a single bullet and a match. And the idea behind that is if you are the last person left fighting on that military base, and before you surrender, you're supposed to use the bullet on yourself and burn the flag, but not in that order. You would have to burn the flag first. But that was the idea of our forefathers, and somebody down the line modified it. My truck does not unscrew. It doesn't come apart, and I don't have a bullet or a match inside of it, but I do have it up there. And I'll be getting this up next couple of days. I've got to get to Home Depot. I need a few other items because I was busy today, and you see, you notice anything different on the porch here? It looks a little bit different. Yeah, there's a few things missing. As we head over here and head inside, Look at that. I have a full-size stove with an oven. Yahoo! And I have an extra cabinet with a butcher block top. Yeah. Cool. And I cleaned off some of the counter. I got more space in here. Isn't that cool? I moved the refrigerator over to the corner. But the thing I got to go to Home Depot for is I need an 18 by 18 by 12 inch cabinet that's going to go underneath that and raise that up so I don't have to get down on my knees to get down to the bottom shelf of this thing. So I'll raise that up, and then I'll have an extra shelf down, or a cabinet down there, that I can store stuff that I don't use very much or very often. And I could also utilize it for things like breads and so forth. But this is my butcher block, and the idea behind this is take stuff out of the freezer or refrigerator, put it on the butcher block, prep it, go onto the stove or in the oven, one or the other. And in my oven here, you notice down there the weird looking thing with the fire brick on it. I made that years ago. That's my pizza stone. And I can heat this oven up to 550 degrees and then take that center shelf out of there. And then I can do pizzas in there, and those pizza screens to make it a little easier. I've got to dig out my pizza peels. I know I've got those, and I've got some spare pizza boxes, and figure out how I'm going to deal with those. But also, this shelf up here is going to disappear because I've got to raise these two cabinets up a little bit more, and then I've got my big overhead microwave that's going to go right in there. And then I'll have a real kitchen going. And then with the refrigerator up all the way. Now, behind the between the stove and the microwave, I've got this metal panel, a white metal panel that goes on the wall, and it makes it easy to keep clean. You can see some splatters on there. Well, that's what happens. You get splatters in kitchens. Well, having that metal panel back there makes it easy to wipe down. So that's going to end up there sooner or later. That shelf, like I said, will go. But I'm going to have an area in between the refrigerator and the microwave right up here. And I'm thinking I'm going to put a nice looking shelf up in there that will, or maybe in a double shelf, that'll hold all my spices and things. And then I'll have my workstation right here. What you're looking at here is my salt and pepper shaker. That's for the table, of course. But here is my coarse sea salt for cooking, and these are called pinch bowls. So you can take a pinch of spice out and add it to the food. There's my coarse ground black pepper, and that's really good organic pepper. That doesn't have stems and seeds and or stems and leaves and things in it. That's just all pepper seed all ground up. And that will hide underneath my Henkels. These are my Henkel knives. And you can see right there, J.A. Henkel Internationals. No stain. And I've had these for a lot of years. They have a beautiful edge on them. Really super sharp. The other ones that are mixed in here, these white ones, are Chicago Cutlery. Another good knife. You notice that this one has the little hollows in it. That's supposed to help if you're cutting things like cheeses and things like that. It helps release. And then, of course, here's my big cleaver. And this thing is so sharp you could shave with it. So, that's what's going on there. Oh, yeah, this one. This is my fillet knife. And this is a chef's review. It comes from Smart & Final. It's a good knife. It keeps a good edge. But you got to have a good fillet knife if you're going to be doing different types of cooking. And I have one. So, there's the setup there. Now, let me show you here. I've already got this converted over. It took a while to convert over. As you can see, the flames are perfect. And that's the big burner. The thing to convert this over, it took a little over an hour. Probably closer to an hour and a half to do the full conversion. Because you've got to take all of this stuff apart, and then there's jets or orifices down inside. You got to reach down in there with a nut driver, a 9/30 seconds nut driver, and take those out. And the kit that you converted over comes fastened to the back of this. Right now I've got all of the natural gas orifices and stuff are all into the kit back there and fastened back into place. So if somebody wants to convert this back down the line, but I doubt it. This stove is going to be with me until it dies or I do, one of the two. I love the cooking on this stove. It's a 5-burner, and then of course I've got that nice big oven down in there, and it's got a nice broiler. So I can make some really nice dinners, lunches, whatever in there. My friend Andy will be coming out, knowing now that I can do my homemade pizzas, and hopefully he's feeling better. I'm sorry to hear that his little dog passed away, and that's what happens with our dogs. We get attached to them and then they go. But he's already planning on getting a new one. So I've got a clock on this stove, and then everything is electronic for the broiler and the oven, and it's got a self-clean unit on there. I never use that because that really goes up to like 650 or 700 degrees, and I've got that other stone thing down in there, and I have a feeling that it wouldn't like that much temperature. But who knows, it might. Those are fire brick. They are designed for sitting in a fireplace with a hot fire burning. Then I got my bacon grease can up there. Got to have a bacon grease can in the kitchen. And then I was using that container because I was grinding my coffee down in the OC and bringing it up in plastic Ziploc bags, putting in that container to use. Well, now I've got my coffee grinder here, so I can grind my coffee fresh when I want it. I'll be doing that in a little while because I've got to set up the coffee pot. I drank the last of the coffee out of that this morning, and that's just the best coffee ever. I use the Jose's Colombian coffee out of, what is it, Costco. The red bag. Oh, that stuff is good. And as you can see, things are cleaned off over here. Everything's put away. I always keep a rag right there by the stove. So if I've got a hot pan handle, I toss that over there, and I know don't grab that handle, it's hot. I have my pot holders hanging up there right now temporarily on a hook. Home is where your honey is, and everything bare. There you go. All right, that's about it. I can't think of anything else that went on today. Just cleaning and putting things together. So that's it. G-Bear signing off. Another episode, Homesteading the Desert.